All right. Hey, Facebook. Hey, YouTube. I'm trying this. Round number 3. Let's see what happens. You know what I think it is? I think that the Super Bowl has some sort of monopoly of what's going on right now, and it's trying to mess up my Facebook Live. It's trying to mess things up for me because Facebook hates me. You guys, I swear, Facebook hates me. It is just the way it is. So I know, for real, you guys. All right, so let's see. Let's make this happen. Hi, Unique. Let's make this happen, you guys. Oh, pray for me. I want this to work. Make this work. Come on, y'all are magical, spiritual people. Put your intent in here and make this work right, because your girl is struggling. This happens every time. Let's see. Damn. Yasmina, what the heck? Alright, I'm sending you an invite right now. I don't know if this is gonna work because there's no add button next to your name. So I don't understand why it's not working. It worked the last time. Everyone else got an add button next to their name. Nope. That is so weird. Oh, wait. I got it. All right, child. You declined it? For real, Yasmina? I just sent you the invite. What is wrong with you, girl? Hold on, let me do it again. Don't decline it, okay? All right, I'm sending you the invite again. Don't decline it. Hello?
Hey, I did not decline it. I wanted it to be on my laptop, not on my phone, so I don't have to hold myself like this. So that was the only thing that we did last time that worked. So
What happened? You were on your laptop last time?
no, I wanted to be on my laptop.
That's why it wasn't working. I told you the phone is the only way.
Now we know why it was not working.
I can't. Girl, you gotta flip your thing upside down. You look all sideways. You look crazy. Flip it. There you go. There you are, you fabulous self. Look at you. Yes. I love it. I love it. All right. So let me share you everywhere before I lose you, basically.
You ain't gonna lose me.
Oh my gosh. You don't understand. Facebook has it out for me. Facebook is like, F you, Leilani. I don't want you to succeed in anything. For real. All right, so let's get this. I'm going to share this one more spot, and then we are good to go.
I'm sharing it in the swamp. I hope Miss Shaw doesn't mind.
Talk to everybody. Miss Shaw is here. Yamil is here.
Everybody's here. Nicole and everybody. Gypsy Gal Bev, Angie, everybody. Hi, Karma. Everybody's here. Now
On
let
Super
me.
Bowl Sunday. Shoot. I was saying in the
watch
last
that
one.
stuff.
I was saying in the last one. I was like, you know what? Despite the fact that there's supposed to be a big game on, I got my wine.
Yes.
And I got my mother's flan right here. I am ready to party with you, Yasmina. I'm ready. Okay. So
I have my Coke Zero because I can't take in any calories. So there you go.
willpower. Willpower.
Let's
right
start
there.
with that.
So let me read your bio for those of you who don't know who Yasmina is. Yasmina, the Ancestral Witch, is a traditional Balkan worker that focuses on the ancestors and saints, venerating and properly growing and elevating them. Also a Yaya Nganga in Palo, she has found a good balance between that and her ancestral practices. Yasmina, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight.
De nada.
I love it. I love it. Who is this? Who said, hey guys? Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh, thank you.
Like, what is Super Bowl? Exactly. That's my type of people. What is Super Bowl? Thank you, Karma. Now.
For those of you who don't know who Yasmina is, you probably have seen her on YouTube. You have an amazing YouTube channel called Ancestral Witch. You also have online courses and a private Facebook group that kind of jumps off of those online courses as well. Is that part of that?
Yes, that is part of that, and they get like one-on-one, like really deep, deep down mentoring where I spank some ass, but but they learn how to step into their power and how to properly venerate their ancestors and properly grow.
Yeah, yeah, and your stuff is. I mean, I met you, like maybe a year or two ago. I want to say maybe
Yeah, a
two.
while back.
A while back in Facebook groups. Actually, Miss Shaw Marie, I might even have met her specifically in the Swamp Girl,
No,
Swamp Fam, and
no, no. You knew me before that. You just probably never
before that.
noticed my sad ass. We were friends
But
way
I have,
before these Facebook groups. Yeah.
yeah. Mm. I have to say though, I have to say, like, it was just it was like instant connection. When I read your posts and when I learned about you and your you have a personality that is strong, it's tough, it's no nonsense, it's just it's pure strength and pure power. And then when you speak from a place of authority, and it's so inspiring as just as a female, number one, and number two as a spiritual worker, so when I heard you speak and the topics that you talked about, I was like, oh my gosh, she's my sister from another mister. By the way, I did my DNA result. I got like 0.23 something Balkan in there, so you
That's
never
it.
know.
That's it.
Oh
I'm
man.
broad South European too, so there's gotta be some Spanish stuff over there as well.
Yes. Yes. So let's get to it. Let's talk about it. So you practice ancestral work and you teach ancestral work, and you do so from a place of first starting with this idea of willpower. And I'm curious, just getting to know you as a person. How is it that you went from a Balkan tradition to Palo? Like what was that journey like for you? I'm just curious what that was all about.
Well, that was not the only part of that journey. I was growing up in socialistic country, even though we still had our traditions, right? So the traditions were done because they're traditions. So the last generation that ever believed in any of that was my grandmothers, right? My mom, my dad, they're all very much, you know, science-based atheists and stuff like that. So they would just do things just in case if there is God and there is Jesus, just in case. So, so they're clear, right?
All bases.
Right. All of it. So, then I came here, So that took a while, and I went into a atheist stage myself. And then that didn't quite feel right, and I'm like, can't be it. That this can't be it. You dream of your dead people. My grandparents, were passing away. I was dreaming of them over here with exactly as the tradition is, within the 40 days and all that stuff. I'm like, there gotta be something else. So I was running away from Christianity because all of us do, right? I hated Christianity. Oh my Charlemagne! What did Charlemagne do to everybody? They killed everybody. They forced them into submission and all this stuff. Horrible. I'm gonna hate them now. So I went to Wicca. Wicca didn't seem right either. And then I found actually Lucky Mojo. And even that didn't quite, it was not quite it. Not there, kind of like something was missing, right? So I'm like, I'm just gonna take care of my ancestors, right? And I was talking with this lady over here, local lady from Cuba, and she was um way back in the days, involved in Santeria, and she had Apollo initiation too, and talking to her, and I'm like fascinated. So I'm like, I'm finding these people that are actually involved with their ancestors like we are. So
Mm.
that intrigued me. So I'm like, okay, I would like to do this. Like, I can't find any of my people here that do that. So I might as well search out somebody else that does it. Kind of like in
Mm.
a similar way with the same importance. So what happened was I was added in Facebook groups, and now in that thing I met my tata. I actually asked my tata if he can recommend any babalaos or santeros to me, So he's like, why? So I'm like, my ancestors, I feel like there's more that I can do for them than
Mm.
what I'm doing right now. I feel that. But previously, before that, I was praying to them to lead me to the teacher that is right for me. I didn't say in which tradition. I just said lead me to the teacher that is right for me. That's it. So I had that conversation with him. He's like, call me. I talked to him, and we did not palo but bakulu initiation. This is like the cult of the dead, but this is Congo based, similar to
Mm.
the Gungun society. That is Yoruban. This is Congo. So from there, I was good. I was set, and then. And then my tata's Nganga, because when I went to get my Bakulu stuff, for the ancestors, I had to come in front of the Nganga as well and leave some presents. Everybody leaves presents to the Nganga. Doesn't
Mm.
matter if you're in it or not, you have to do that. So he's like, well, you know what? Do you want Paulo or not? Because this Nganga is calling for you. And I'm like, I'm not really sure, Tata. He's like, go ask your people. I asked my people, and they said yes. And that's that. That's how
Wow.
that happened.
Wow. And it's interesting because, when people seek out spirituality, right? Everyone has like a different they're coming at it from different perspectives. Some people are
Mhm,
coming at it because they want more power. Some people are coming at it because they want to get closer to God. Some people, but
mhm.
it seems like your story is consistent all the way through. You started with the ancestors, you allowed them to lead you to traditions that allow you to practice to get closer to them and other spirits as well. And it always has been just it's very consistent. You're not flying all over the handle like some people, right?
Right.
And that's what you're teaching, others is to start with the ancestors. But I want to go
Exactly.
back to what you said, this idea of cult of the dead. Is there a difference? Is there a difference between the dead and your ancestors? Because you're seeing that a lot in the online community where they speak about the dead as if it's some sort of lower vibrational entities, things that you kind of work with on a separate altar and not necessarily on the same one as your ancestors and the ones that are your bloodline. So what does your tradition say about that? Is there a difference or are they the same?
Well, for me, like in the Balkan, personally, um, the difference for us between the dead and ancestors is the dead is the ones that led not a good life, not an exemplary life, right? If they were criminals, if they were traitors, for example, when it comes to war and stuff like that. So if they were hurting people, murders, those would be the dead. And these people would be left like they would be like a pile of stones on the crossroads, right? And this is why crossroads, and I say that I have a video on YouTube about that too. This is why the crossroads are so dangerous. Um, they leave pile of rocks on the crossroads, and these pile of rocks are for these people that did not lead an exemplary life, that are outcasts from the community. So
Mm,
those that were good for the community, those that worked for the betterment of the community, these get to be the ancestors. You
mm.
understand?
So they're not
That
necessarily blood related. They can be culturally adopted ancestors as well.
definitely this goes so much deeper. It's so much more complicated. There's so much more involved in it. It's just that I only say ancestors around because people are not ready. People are not ready to go deeper, and they cannot go deeper right off the bat. They need to get with their own first and then go, further. So even their own ancestors, and I'm going to say ancestors now because these are blood related, even though they led an not an exemplary life, they still need to be venerated. Now, some
Mm,
of them are going to protest that, and if they protest it, leave it alone, you
okay.
know? But if they're not protesting it, maybe they need it, you know?
Mm. And
So
that's
keep on
and that's
venerating.
in the Balkan tradition, or is that in the current traditions that you're in now?
This is what I have learned from my tata. This last part that I just said, venerate them anyways. But even on the Balkan, when we do with when it comes to the funerary rites, they bury the person when they die, and then 40 days after that we have a service. So in this service, and this is the prayer that I say for my people, the priest says a prayer where he elevates the person that had just passed. But now in this prayer he says his or her name,
Mm.
but he also says the names of everybody that came before him,
Mm.
all of their relatives, regardless what kind of life that they led. So
Mm.
it kind of, overlaps as well.
I was gonna say, yeah, there is a lot of overlap because, and there's so much contradictory, information being put out there, and it's very frustrating for a newcomer coming into all this, and they're learning simply from the internet or from YouTube because they don't have mentors and they don't know where to look for mentors. So,
Mhm.
you'll hear things like, for example, venerate them anyway. That's one way of working with it with one specific tradition. Whereas another tradition will say, no, 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 don't venerate the ones that are murderers and rapists and this and that. They should not be on the same altar. They shouldn't even be in your house, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
And then you have others that, the dead, the land spirits, the what do you call it? The
Nature spirit.
gitanas, all these different nature spirits, all these different spirits are not the same as ancestors, so they should be on a different thing altogether. So it's a
Confusing.
lot of stuff. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
it's nice to have someone that says, you know what, cut the bull. Let's
Yeah.
cut through all of it and let's stick with what we know. Like, what is it that's most immediate to us? My
Right.
question to you is, because I've actually heard this before. My question to you is, when does being an ancestor actually start? Because there's a lot of conversation around, well, they have to be a couple generations back before you can consider them an ancestor. Like, you can't
Not for
consider like your brother an ancestor if he passed away, right? So what's your take on that?
Not for us on the Balkan. On us on the Balkan, and this is how it goes. It's very simple too. Everything is simple, and everything is simple, and people just want to hear something that is so deep. Nothing is deep. Everything is just so simple. It's like right plain in front of your eyes, and nothing more than that. But anyways, in my culture on the Balkan, it takes 1 year for the person that just passed to get to the ancestors. So this is why all these funerary rites are so important. The 40 days, we do 40 days. And those 40 days is when the person is still like wandering around, saying his final goodbyes to the people that he's leaving behind, right? So after that, he gets to be on the road. And in the first 40 days, a candle has to be lit every day. Every day a candle has to be lit for this person separately. He's not to be taken care of with the rest of them. He needs to be taken care of separately. So every food, if we slaughter an animal for whatever it is, if it's 40 days or 6 months or 1 year, the animal needs to be dedicated only to this person, not to the rest of them. By the way, if you didn't know, all of you that you're listening, we do animal sacrifice. We still do that. We call it kurban. We do that. And there's nothing more beautiful than that. Now, because it gives sustenance to the spirits and then it feeds us as well. The animal does not go to waste. We eat it communally. Everything is eaten. Nothing goes to waste. And even the ones that are living in poverty and are hungry, they come and eat as well. So you're doing something good. So now, even when it comes to the stone, it comes together with this 1 year. The gravestone needs to be put there about that time, about 1 year, so that way the spirit can have a house right there. And then after 1 year, the spirit goes to be with the ancestors. And then when you give food, when you slaughter an animal, when you light a candle, that's when you do it all together for all of them.
Wow. So it seems, wow, that first year is a lot of work, but then it seems like, no, 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 the work is just starting
Just
because then that
starting.
year ends and you still have so much more to do. And it's so interesting. In my culture, it's the same way. We have the 12 nights right after someone passed of just, pure prayer and service, and that's done by the people, not necessarily by the priest. He has his
Right.
own ceremony, his own thing, but the people do it for 12 nights, and so on and so forth. So every tradition is different, which is really interesting. And the 1 year thing, I hear that a lot in different cultures. It seems
Yeah.
pretty unanimous
Consistent.
that it takes about a year for them to feel, crossed.
Yeah.
Um, that's interesting. So then, my next question is, after that year, when you're lighting these candles and you're giving these offerings and you're offering these waters, are you doing this? Are you doing this to honor their memory, or is there a purpose for that spirit? Are you doing something specific for the spirit? Like, is it affecting them in any way? Does that make any
Well,
sense?
the water is important, very important, because the dead live for us. I'm not in this over here. I'm not talking about the ATR that I'm in here. I'm talking about my Balkan stuff. So for us on the Balkan, the dead are living in perpetual thirst. They're always thirsty. So you have to give them water, because if they keep being thirsty, then they're going to take your water away. So there's gonna
Mm,
be and I don't mean just the water that runs out of a faucet, because these are traditions that are made by the people that live in villages. So they're actually talking about rain. Their crops are not gonna grow. Everything is gonna be, oh my God, how do you say susha in English, Stephen? Susha, drought.
I love it.
What you gonna do? So it's like, yeah, drought. So they're gonna cause drought, and then you're gonna have to go and do rituals, by the river, and through the community, in order for you to call down the rain. Sometimes if they get mad because they're thirsty, they can bring those black clouds that bring thunder and destruction on the crops.
Right.
So these are actually the ones, the Allah, the Ajdaya. This is the female dragon that is furious, that comes with these angry dead to rain this hail upon the fields, so it ruins everything. And everything is connected to them being thirsty and being unhappy. And plus, these are also the ones that have led an unexemplary life.
Mm.
So these are those. So those need to be really taken care of. And these also live in the forests too. So the forest is full of them. Forests, rivers from drowned, girls and all. They're full of them.
Wow.
I thought you wanted to ask a question.
I'm like blown because I have a list of questions, but then the conversation goes somewhere else entirely, and I love it. So then, okay. So then the next thing I'm curious about then, okay, so if the dead can affect us and the world in such a way as to affect weather, to affect, crops, to affect people's livelihood, if that's the case, and your purpose is to feed them and to elevate them and to get them not thirsty, I guess is the right word,
Right?
then what hap what's the right way of asking this question? Um, does that also mean that you can then utilize them in your own work? Like if you're going to do magic, for example,
Hmm.
if you know that these spirits can affect the weather and affect you, can you utilize them in your magic, or would that be sort of taboo? Because I know in some traditions, you don't put the dead to work, because they're dead. They should be resting, like at least in some traditions. And then in others, it's like they're like, what are you, ancestors for hire, like you know?
No, we are like that too. The dead, even my mom told me. My mom got mad at me when I told her about what I'm about to do. Back in the days, she's like, "You leave the dead alone. You can do your saints. Leave the dead to be dead."
My mom says that too. Yeah, leave him
Yes,
to be dead. Let him sleep.
yes, that's what she told me. So no, even with the traditions, what you do is you go hound the saints is what you do, and you really you really go and hound them. So let's say there's drought, right? So Saint Elias, Elijah, he deals with that, right? So Saint Peter too, though, deals with the rain and stuff. So they would go and they would hound these saints, like, hey, like, what am I supposed to do to get some rain down here? Like, come on now. Like, And sometimes if the saint is not doing what, they wanted the saint to do, they actually are punishing the saint. Like there is a story about this poor villager. He hardly had any money on him, so he went to the market, and this salesman, he had an icon of Saint Nicola and Saint Bogorodica, Mother Mary, the Virgin, right? So he's like, these two icons for this much money. And he's like, the guy's like, the villager, he's like, well, I don't have that much money. So now the seller is like, well, these two can, St. Nicola can help you watch your house, protect your house and all this stuff. So he's like, okay, let me have them, right? So he, brings the icons at home, he puts them on the wall. And then after a while, he goes out with a wife to do some work. He comes home, and then he found his little, poor house trashed and robbed. So he gets mad. He's like, that damn Sveti Nikola, he was supposed to watch over my house. He didn't do nothing. That damn old man didn't do nothing. He let all this happen to me. And that Bogorodica, what was she doing? Was she just watching all this happen? Now the wife chimes in. She goes like, you leave Bogorodica alone. She has baby Jesus. She's breastfeeding him. She's taking care of him. She may have not seen, what was going on, but that Saint Nicola. So, they get on the case of Sveti Nicola, so this poor saint now, what is he going to do? So he goes in the dream of this person, the thief that broke into the house, and he beats the living shit out of him with a stick. And he tells them why he did that, and then the next day this thief comes back with everything that he stole, and he's like, here you go. Here you go, damn you, here you go, you and your Saint Nicola. So that's when the man, realized that Sveti Nicola really did go over there and fix the issue. So he's like, oh, okay, now I can put him back on the wall. He's good. So
Wow.
there's that. So they would hound the saints. But the saints have their own requests too. Sometimes the saint hounds the person. So even these days, there is instances when a certain saint, like let's say Saint George, for example, would come to in the dream of some villager, right? And he's gonna be like, I need a church built right on the spot. And if the villager doesn't do that, they usually will inflict some kind of illness on the person until he or she does it. So, and usually when they go over there to build that church, they usually find that there's been a temple there before. So
Okay.
that was already a place of worship that something or somebody destroyed it.
Wow.
So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so you can work the saints, you can work the land spirits, the nature spirits, and things like that. But your ancestors, you can't utilize them really in magic. Now, can you at least request protection from them, or is the
Oh yeah.
protection done in a different kind of way?
You ask for protection, you ask for blessings, you ask for open roads, but not, hey, Baba, help me, to get this job.
Right. Okay.
Not that. Not
What's
it's not like I don't do it.
stop
I'll do
being
it. I'll do it every once in a while, but usually I don't. I don't. And I don't even need to do any spells. I don't need to work any spiritual work. I take care of them and they take care of me. I don't hound them. I don't beg them. They just, bring me, they give me what I need without me even asking. And that's what happens when you're really taking care of them.
connected? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take this to a deeper level for just a moment. I'm curious to see what your opinion on this is. Is it also possible that these blessings and this protection that you're receiving from the ancestors is not necessarily done from the perspective of a physical, mundane thing that you're making the request and then it's happening, but more that because they are in your DNA, because they are coursing through your veins, your ancestors, that this idea of having strong mental power, strong willpower within yourself, and saying the word protection or saying the word blessing inwardly is sort of, I don't know, I want to say metaphorically, but it could also, just on a spiritual level, because they're coursing through your veins, can they do it from that perspective as opposed to it being such an external request.
Definitely, 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 definitely. Because like Steve, my husband, right? He doesn't sit over there like I do. He doesn't pray over there like I do by his table, by his people, right? But what he has is he has a strong willpower, and he has a strong way of visualizing, and of he works in a very different way. He doesn't, he doesn't consider himself a witch, but I do, because he's manifesting shit regardless of, he doesn't make talismans and candles, but he's doing it in a very different way, through his willpower and through his like when you put yourself emotion wise into what you want, like if I want like a certain car, right? And this is what he does, right? So he's gonna go and he's gonna sit in that car. He's gonna feel out that car. He's gonna test drive that car. So in order for him to be able to put himself in it as he's manifesting it with his willpower. You know
Right.
what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So that if
Let's
you
can we
can't Yes, if you can't do that, if you're weak, if you have weak willpower, if you are very easy to get disturbed by people and by situations, you're not going to manifest nothing. Your people are not going to manifest nothing for you either.
hmm. Is it
You're
possible
weak
to
and they're weak.
draw? Is it possible to draw upon the willpower of your ancestors because they course through your veins? And obviously through lots of practice, through lots of training, through lots of connection and all that, is it possible to do that? Or is yours your own? I guess the better question would be, can you define willpower based on what you feel it is? Can you define that for us, and then I can kind of backtrack that question?
Okay, so willpower it's not spite. It's not being like the stuck up people, and it's not being stubborn. Willpower is having the will, the strength to go through something, to do something, even if it's painful,
Mm,
because it needs to be done. You know what I mean?
I
Like, if
do.
I have no money and I have family to feed, I'm going to have that willpower to work 5 jobs and sleep only 1 hour. That's willpower. You know? If I have some kind of an illness, I don't want to say the name, so I don't call it. Um, I'm gonna have the willpower. I'm not gonna just lay down and wait for it to take me over, right? I'll fight. I'm gonna have that willpower to just, grab it by the horn and say, "Fuck you! I'm not doing this shit with you." So that to me is willpower. When I'm at that gym, when I'm lifting the weights, they seem heavy. I'll have that willpower to lift them, or at least try. So that to me is willpower. You gotta do
Okay.
what you need to do.
And that's something, so then to backtrack on that question, that's just something you have to build within yourself. I mean, I don't see that as something that you can draw genetically. I mean, at least I
Uh-uh.
can't really comprehend it in my mind, at least not right now. Maybe if I rationalize it later on and kind of play with it. But as of right now, it seems like something that you have to build within yourself.
Yep,
You
you have to
know,
come from within.
for sure. So then what do you say to people who really want to get involved in this, who really they want to work with their ancestors, they want to do magic, they want to practice magic, they want to be a witch, but let's say they suffer from low self-esteem, or they're really really shy, or they're an introvert, or they just have a really hard time getting to that precipice, to that
Mhm.
point where that will can come through and manifest. How do you motivate them? How do you get them to move forward? What would
So
you
this
say
is
to
exactly what we're working on with my students, in that teaching group, right? This is exactly what we're doing, because I need them to be confident in themselves. I need them to have faith in themselves, and I need them to get out of that shell. So what you have to do, you have to put yourself in situations where you don't want to be at. Like, if
them?
you like a right, that is a boot camp, right? But it's like you have to, like, let's say, um one thing that I made them do. I'm gonna tell you like one thing, for example. Like, I knew that a lot of them were shy. as you said, shy and some low self-esteem and did not really have faith in themselves. So what I made them do is I made them put themselves on camera just like this and say something about themselves, right? Say who
That's
you are.
awesome.
You understand what I mean? And so many of them were like, this is so uncomfortable. Good, good. Growth is not supposed to be comfortable. Growth is uncomfortable and
Very
painful.
uncomfortable and painful. Yes.
And this is why willpower is so important. You need to have that willpower to go through that pain, to go through that, uncomfortable feeling and just keep chugging because you know that you need to do this in
Mm.
order for you to, come to that next step. You have to do it. So they have to start having, faith in themselves. They have to be confident. And what helped me be confident in myself is that gym. I cannot praise that gym more, because I'm sorry. I know that we accept people for, how they look like and everything. But for myself, if I look good, I'm confident in myself. That's how it starts. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Totes. And
That's
you have transformed. I watched that whole journey. That was such a badass situation, dude. Seriously.
So that really really helps when you like how you look like. I don't care if you are obese. If you like how you look like, you're gonna be confident in yourself.
Right.
I don't care as long as you are happy with how you look like. That's what
Right.
matters. So it starts with that first, always. Always the mundane, the looks. People say, "Oh, looks don't matter." Fuck that. Look matters. So looks matter because we need to be attracted to one another sexually, which means, hello, then comes the mind and the personality, but first is the looks. So,
And more so
yes,
being attracted to yourself.
yes,
Can you
yes,
look in the
love
mirror
yourself.
and be attracted to yourself,
Yes,
For
love
sure.
yourself, and then you're gonna know that you're gonna attract the whatever sex that you're attracted to. So you're just gonna know it. So when you're walking, knowing you have a different vibe that you're putting out there. You're not putting a vibe of weakling. Because when you have that, shy little, little chicken like this, then we are animals. We are animals. We are nothing better than that lion in that jungle. Nothing. So when we smell that kind of energy, we attack. So that's why bullying happens. We
Mhm.
attack that kind of energy because it's weak. You just you want to snap that neck. You don't deserve to live on this planet because this is the survival of the fittest. you know
Mhm.
you can either you either survive by being the fittest or you survive by adapting, right?
Mhm.
So when you smell that kind of energy, you want to strangle that whatever that is.
And
So
I think it's also about really understanding that you're a whole person. There's parts of you. You're multifaceted, right? So the power, for example, in a shy, introverted person, maybe their power comes from a different place, and maybe they're great dream walkers or great shamans or something like that
right,
in their own way, but they lack that willpower in the physical aspect,
right,
or whatever the case may be. So it's this idea of really trying to make yourself whole, not necessarily this idea of you're incomplete and you're a bad person, but just this
right,
idea of like that willpower can be found in so many different areas. That's the whole reason why I ended up doing that YouTube series and why I broke it down into the elements. Because
I love
you
those
have those
series.
emotions, you have the mental, you have the physical. It's all the different parts of us that need to be strengthened. You know what I mean?
Right, all
and
of it.
and your thing was attack it from and just from your experience, it was attacking it from the earth element, from this idea of my physical body, my physical external self, the things that I have around me first need to exemplify what I think is beautiful and what I think is good, so that then I can attack those other areas as well,
Right,
and I think it's important people pick the parts of themselves that they are strong at and
right.
be proud of that, and then
Yes.
start attacking all those other pieces as well.
Yes, yes. And the more that they work with the dead, the more they work with their own ancestors or with spirits and stuff, the more whatever that they had, all these insecurities, all these mental issues. Everybody has mental issues. So when I say mental issues, I don't mean no harm. Everybody has issues. You know,
Right.
all of that will come forward and it's gonna scream at your face. It's gonna be like dancing right here, and you won't be able to escape it. So if you don't have that willpower and the dead, then ancestors like bring up all those issues, which they will. They will put you in situations to test you, you know, to see if you're gonna crumble or die. You know,
Mm.
crumble and die. I meant not whatever. So all that is gonna come up. So if you don't have that willpower to deal with your own issues, face to face, then how do you think you're going to be able to manifest stuff in your life? How do you think you're going to be able to manifest for other people? If
Right.
you want to work for hire and stuff like that. Um, how do you think that you would be able to work with spirits or even with your own ancestors if you cannot control yourself?
And you've
They
coined it.
will,
You've said it yourself. It's not for the lazy. This work is
no,
not for the lazy.
and it's not for the weak either. You cannot be a sheep. You cannot be a follower. You have to be a leader. You gotta be the wolf. As much as like so many of the women that I have seen, the guys not so much. The guys are more realistic. The guys are, but the women are the ones that are like kind of like have these ideas in their head that they need to be saviors, that they need to help all these people, that they need to heal all these people. Wait a minute. Heal yourself first. Can you heal yourself? Can you deal with yourself? No? All right, go back over there, take care of that first, and then come back. And then I'm going to ask you again, do you still want to be the savior of the world? Because you can't be. You can't save everybody. You can only help those that want to be helped.
Mm-hmm. And live
So,
a life model. You got to model it yourself too. You
yeah,
live your words every single day. It's seen on Facebook, it's seen on YouTube. Everything that you speak, you live it. So by modeling that behavior, you're showing it is possible, and it's very tangible. You can see it. So why can't you do it?
right.
Kind of attitude,
And,
which I think is amazing.
and I live a pretty normal life. There's nothing special. I dress normally. Look at me. I don't have no robes or nothing. So,
Man, it is what it
you
is.
know,
What
I
you see
am
is what you
expressing.
get.
Well, right, and every single one of us, people have to remember that we're all human. None of us, and I said that on Facebook, a few days ago. None of us, we're not elevated. Like yeah, some of us have one kind of wisdom, others have another kind of wisdom, some have none. So avoid those. Avoid those that cannot take the higher road. You know, is all I have to say. You have to be able to see the bigger picture and just take the freaking higher road. But we're
I
all
have
human.
I have two questions
Yeah.
that were given that I had gotten from a inbox message. Because they told me that they couldn't be here for the live, but they wanted these questions.
Okay.
So this one comes from Andorra, Andoria. Okay. So I know that you have answered this before in a YouTube a while back, or maybe a Facebook thing, but if you can reiterate and say it again, she asked, what do you do if you're adopted? This idea of ancestral work. What do you do if you're adopted? You have no idea what your ancestry is. You've done like the DNA work, and you kind of have a general idea of what your DNA pattern is, but you don't know what your roots are. How do you connect?
Well, first of all, let me plug myself first. I do ancestral investigations where, you find out who your main ancestor is, the energy of the family, your energy, the medicines of the main ancestor, totems, spirits, and all that kind of stuff. Now,
And it's amazing. I got one done and it was awesome. For sure. That was so cool.
I was having fun with you. Now, Now, when it comes, if she's, if she's not, now I'm coming from a place where, she's not, you know, getting that done, what she can do by herself. Ad Even if she's adopted, she can still have a separate table if she's gonna do a table for the blood family, because that is what is in her DNA. Those people are in her DNA. Now, when it comes to the adoptive family, please do elevate them, do that, because this is the kind of like the same when I talked about the marriage too. When the woman marries into the husband's family, she becomes adopted into that family. And exactly like me, like I'm Balkan. When I initiated in Palo, I got adopted by these African spirits. I'm not African. So it's the same thing too. She got adopted into this family, and she's part of that family now, of their lineage. So she should elevate them as well. So I tell these people, when they come to me for readings, like you're special, you're special because you have two families watching over you, you know?
Mhm.
One from the adopted side and one from the blood side. And now I just got goosebumps.
Mm.
So these people are special in my eyes, so yes. So have that table. White is perfect, to start with, water, coffee, alcohol, cigarettes, whatever that they enjoy, put it there, and every day, and sit and talk to them and say prayers from whatever religion that you feel called to. When it comes to which tradition, which culture, she should follow, she did a DNA test. So just take a quick look which one is at the most percentage, and start with that. Start reading ethnology books, anthropology books, something that is scholarly and academic. Nothing of this other stuff that are done by pagans. So just academic works, mythology, legends, folk tales. All of that is going to enrich the knowledge about this whole collective subconscious that culture has, which is very important for her to tap into. For every single one of us, it's very important to tap into that collective subconscious. So there you go.
That is beautiful because that would be my next question, just to kind of jump off of that, because you had mentioned, getting an investigation reading done.
Yeah.
And, and as you know, the majority of my target audience is usually solitary practitioners who don't have mentors and don't know where to go to get to these investigation readings. Although now you know, guys. But for those who really are doing this on their own, you know, is there such a thing as personal communication with the ancestors from the very beginning, and being
Yeah.
able to connect, like, the validation and being able to know that that's what's actually happening?
Well, validation is going to come with persistence, And a lot of these girls that I did these ancestral investigations for, when I was telling them, their medicines and all these things and all these, all this information, they're like, oh my God, I have already done that kind of stuff. So they got the confirmation. So, of course, your ancestors are yours. They're in your blood. They're gonna guide you, regardless if you get a spiritual reading or not. They are talking to you every day, every minute, every day, every minute. You just need to listen. And this is what I say to everybody, like this society, and I'm not talking only about the Western society, because it's almost like 80% of this planet is under this whole, and it started with the industrial revolution, right? This whole we're leaning towards logic, we're leaning towards rationale. So by doing that, we're kind of closing the channels to spirit,
Say it.
and we're getting deaf. So they're trying to talk to us, they're trying, and it's not like some of us don't listen intentionally, so but most of us are quite literally deaf. We kind of don't hear them. So this is why it's important with persistence and with persistence and with persistence. So those channels are going to open up, and they're going to first start, communicating via dreams, because that's the easiest one. That's when your logical mind is sleeping. It can't butt in and say, don't talk like this now. That's all, old wives' tales. So yeah, start it one day, and after another day, after third day, every day. And if you can't do it every day for about a year, then you're not serious, and you're better off not doing it.
Mm-hmm. Say it. Say it. um, you have said this term before, um, and I've always been curious on what your take. I know you've spoken on this before, but again, not everyone has heard this. You have said the word living ancestors before. This idea of your family, the ones who are alive and well, brothers, sisters, moms, dads, grandparents, in-laws,
Uncles, uncles,
kids,
aunts. Mhm.
uncles, aunts, cousins, living ancestors. And this idea of that you have ways of venerating them as well and working with them as well. And it can be something as simple as, going to those family gatherings and picking up the phone and calling grandma every once in a while. Now, what do you say to someone who has a brother or a sister who harmed their child? Either sexually abused them or did something just absolutely vile. And excuse me to my audience if any of this triggers you. It's not my intention, but I'm trying to get to a point here. So, you have a relative who harms your child. You love the relative, you love your child, but now that has happened, and you being a practicing witch and you knowing, how to do this stuff, feel the need to justify that. How do you reconcile that? Because I know you have said in the past about living ancestors and not harming your family and not doing that to your living ancestry. So, how do you reconcile a situation like that for someone who's really hurting and has gone through trauma?
That is a horrible, horrible situation to be in.
Yeah.
But what I would do personally, I would rather beat the fuck out of that person myself with fists than do something spiritually damaged, because that way I'm hurting people that have not done anything wrong as well. Because I would be hurting, let's say that person has descendants, I would be hurting those children as well. So I don't want to do that. But I would want the law to get involved. So please, like, this is not a reason for you to let a vile ass person get away with sick shit. And when I'm talking about
Feminism.
this, I'm not talking about my cousin just slapping my child on the face. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What kind of forceful shit. That, take them straight to the fucking cops. Yes. But when it comes to spiritually doing something, you are really hurting the wider, gene pool. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard, but it is what it is. I can just say it, and then whoever's going through it, they can do whatever they find fit to do. I I can't blame them for whatever that they choose to do, and I'm gonna say that I won't blame them whatever they decide, whatever action. I can't blame them, but even if after they do that, after some years go by, they're gonna have to find it in their heart to be like, you know, okay, now that's the past. I hate you, but I'm not gonna wish you, harm. You got what you deserved.
Right. And I mean, that was an extreme example. That was an extreme example. I mean, it could be something just as simple as, you got into a fight with your mother and you're just a hot-headed, teenage witch that who wants to cast a spell on their mom. It
You
could be
don't know.
something as dumb as that. But the whole point is, just like you said, don't, because it affects more than just that one person. You're
Right.
affecting the whole spiritual genetic line, and that
Yes.
includes your children as well, and your future generations as well.
Yes. Yes. I have had a female ancestor from 5 generations back. Her husband, basically, my some of my dedos, he has been a womanizer, right? So she did some stuff to him with the dead, at the cemetery, tied him and stuff like that, so he doesn't wander around. And now that is affecting my sister.
Oh.
So, these kind of stuff, they have a way of biting you in the ass down the road. Is all I'm
Mm.
saying.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily karma or anything like that, just this idea of this
No,
genetic
it's not
full circle.
karma. I
Yeah,
don't see it as karma. This is not karma, not at all. It's just that you're doing something to the lineage,
right.
and then something's gonna, down. Maybe not now, but It's gonna come full circle eventually.
So this idea of family curses and generational curses, it's a real thing.
Yes, but it's a real thing, but it's not done from somebody outside of the family, is what I'm saying.
Right.
And it's not done intentionally. Like, I'm gonna curse my family now. It's not done like that. Well, sometimes it is. Like my mom's my mom's grandpa from her mother's side. They're from the villages, right? So now these people, the sons, came to the city, to the capital city, after Second World War to build a life for themselves. Um, Now, what that grandpa came to the city with a knot of money like this. He sold some fields or something, you know, over there in the village, and he wanted to invest in the capital city, right? And he went to his son's house, and he went to sleep. And when he woke up, the money was gone. So he asked them, "Where's the money?" And they all said that they have no clue. So what he did was he cursed them. He said, I forgot what he said, but he cursed them. And my grandma, that's her father, my grandma have always said, when a mom curses through her breast milk, it's one of the worst things that can happen. And it's always done in a moment of haste, not really meaning it. When a parent does it. But when a father curses, and she always said that to my grandfather, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, don't talk, don't talk, don't talk. Because when a father curses the child, it's worse even than the mother because the father doesn't really feel bad like that afterwards. The mom has a different connection to the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened to these people, to this family, from what my mom has told me right now, just recently, they keep on having money. They had money in the family, but where they are cursed at is when it comes to the marriage and the family life. It's
Mm.
not good. The marriages are falling apart, quarrels within the family, within the house, and all that stuff. It's not good. So then you have that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
It's
man,
always done
full
from
circle.
somebody within the family, unintentionally. Yep.
Man. So I I have to say, you know, with working with the ancestral work and this idea of willpower, is there anything else that you want to add before I ask you to go for it and tell us everything that you're doing and what's coming up next and how everyone can reach you and all that good stuff? Is there anything else you want to add to the solitary practitioner, to the individual who's out there by themselves, who's just trying to figure out who they are, what their place is in this magical community, and how they can connect to their roots? Because the whole point of this video is you start with the roots, right? You know, that's how the branches get strong. That's how the tree gets strong, is by having strong roots. So what can you tell that person to close them off with?
All right. Here it comes. Start with your ancestors, period. All of them. All of them. I don't care from which side of the family they are. None of that matters. Because all of them matter collectively. You can make a table and sit with them every day. Have to do that because you're getting your roots strong so you can be strong. Then, how you gonna build yourself? You sit down, and this is what you have to do. Take a notebook and a pen and start writing down um, the issues that you have, the the things that you think are bothering you. So, for example, let's say if it bothers you, let's say if your mom tells you that you're stupid, and always the people that are closest to us, those people can hurt us the most, not some strangers, mothers, fathers, cousins, those people that matter to us that we love. Those are the ones that are gonna stab the knife that hurts the most. So just sit down and start writing down. If your mom tells you that you're stupid, I'm just throwing this out. And you start fuming. Why are you fuming? Why? What does it do to you? How does it make you feel? Why does it make you feel like that? Then sit down and say, well, what does that change in my life? if my mother thinks that I'm stupid and I'm a grown ass woman or a grown ass man, right? What does that change in my life? Absolutely nothing. It doesn't. It doesn't change how I make money. It doesn't change how I eat. Then it doesn't matter. So then why am I getting bothered? Then I'm gonna decide that I'm not gonna get bothered by that. That's how you grow. You decide to grow. And this is how you will also grow your willpower. Next time somebody tells something like that to you, guess what? First you're gonna fume and then you're just gonna exhale, remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing, and keep it moving. And when it comes to online stuff, which it seems like everybody lives online these days, that's even easier. Oh, somebody wrote something? You know this person? No? Fuck them. Why does it matter? Why does it matter if they don't believe you? What changes with that? Nothing changes. So keep it moving. You see something that you don't like or you don't agree with, keep scrolling. Please understand that you cannot change nobody's mind. That's impossible. So if you disagree with something and if you say something, what do you think? Do you think that that person is going to change their mind and their outlook? Fuck no. They won't. So just leave it alone. You just keep on scrolling and you just keep on living your life. And don't worry about all these gods and goddesses and saints and orishas and loas and this and that. Don't worry about that. You focus on your ancestors. Only on your ancestors. And just watch how they will guide you to where you need to go. And if you know what you're mixed with, pick the culture that draws you the most and learn it. Master it. Don't be jack of all trades, master of none, because that's not going to do nothing for you. Master one. And every tradition, every culture has bad and good things. And they also have rules. There's nothing, no tradition without rules. Everything has them. So pick one that you can deal with the rules and then go with it. Don't be scared to dive in. Just do it. That's it.
I love it. Yasmina, tell everyone how they can get a hold of you, what you are doing with yourself these days, what you're offering to the community, what's going on with you. Tell them everything.
All right. Now you can all find me on the fan page Ancestral Witch. I also have a group that I have just opened. It's called Folk Magic and Ancestral Witchcraft, which I'm gonna be spending some time there because I don't have. I'm a member of too many of them. I can't keep track. So if you want to ask me questions, ask them over there. So well, I can't. I'm too busy, to like, sometimes I go, but I can't keep up. You can find me on ancestralwitch.com. I have, light settings and oils and whipped soaps and, don't forget the ancestral investigation. I do charms and talismans and all these things. And I also have this teaching group too, where I mentor one-on-one and I really pay attention to these girls. And guys. Like there's so many, it's majority girls, I keep forgetting the guys. I'm sorry. So YouTube channel is Ancestral Witch, Yaya, Nganga, Yasmina without Y because that's how you say it. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, Yasmina, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. You were amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leilani.
Have a beautiful night. Thanks,
You
everyone.
too. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.